Disgusting. Leftist cover for
Biden
terrorist
reinforces the
group
false
Hamas.
idea that Palestinians instigated this cycle of violence. Of course they instigated this cycle of violence. Are you insane?
Hamas instigated this cycle of violence. It was so crazy when Hamas was like, yo, IDF, you should go fucking evict the Palestinians in Sheikh Jarrah or threaten to remove them from their homes, and also simultaneously set up blockades for the past 30, 40 years, right, in occupied territory that the international community has condemned as a war crime. And then on top of that, Hamas was like, yo, please rubber bullet the mosque goers after you already prevented a bunch of fucking Palestinians from going to the mosque in general.
What they are doing to the Palestinian people is what they continue to do to our black brothers and sisters here.
They don't hate America because they hate Israel. They hate Israel because they hate America.
Or maybe, just maybe, like Rashida Tlaib personally has, experience with the matter. I don't know. Maybe they like literally see IDF beating the shit out of people inside of a mosque and think like, that's kind of fucked up.
Hey, this is not a conflict over land. This is not a conflict over borders. This is not you have one group that wishes to kill everyone of a particular group and one group that wishes to live.
All Palestinians are Hamas, okay? All Palestinians want to wipe out all Jews. And also, simultaneously, like, Israel is not doing literally, like, the actions that Ben Shapiro claims all Palestinians want to subject all Jews to. That's great, dude. Just role reversal. Just in order to make your argument, just straight up fucking, just say that your enemy is exactly like the actions and take the actions that you yourself or your side is fucking committing. Just say that your enemy's doing it.
You have Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez openly defending Hamas, right? This genius. So Joe Biden said that Israel has a right to defend itself, which, by the way, isn't it kind of amazing that you have to actually say that?
Does Palestine have a right to defend itself? That's the question you got to ask. Like, can Palestinians defend themselves against an occupying force? Obviously, no. Ben Shapiro does not think that.
You know what would happen if there were a terrorist group, or say the government of Mexico, which is actually...
Or the government of Israel, which operates as a fucking terrorist group against Palestinians.
What if the government of Mexico were firing hundreds of rockets into San Diego? Do you know how long that government would last? 0 days. We would be planting the American flag in Mexico City immediately.
Wait, would that make it right? Like, that's also kind of weird. It's like, dude, we would fucking be so devastating. Okay,
notion
great.
that Israel is supposed to sit around and bear this sort of stuff is insane. So Biden says Israel has a right to defend itself, which is like the mildest form of, okay, Israel can kill a few Hamas leaders.
What? Honestly, listen to me. I'm seriously asking this because, like, maybe someone who knows Ben Shapiro can, like, tell me. What should a Biden say that, like, that would have made him sound more militantly defending Israel? Like, what could he have said that made him literally sound more like he's in support of Israel? He literally said, I talked to all the surrounding leaders, Jack, did not mention Palestinians once. Americans blocked the fucking UN Security Council from even discussing peace talks. He's already said, like, I'm a Zionist. You don't need to be a Jew to be a Zionist. He said that we should be unapologetic about our support for Israel. Like, what could he have said that would make Ben Shapiro excited? Should he have said, Palestine, you do not deserve to be there, and may Israel wipe you off the face of the planet? Would Ben Shapiro be happy about that? Is that the only thing, and everything beyond that is actually unacceptable? Like, what do you want him to do, dude? You want him to sit there and fucking literally press the button to keep, like, drone striking fucking Palestinian buildings? Would you be comfortable then? Because Biden literally does not give a single shit about Palestinians. That much is clear. The only thing, and I said this yesterday, the only difference here is, like, between Biden and Trump, the only difference here for all of you fucking supposedly progressives, progressive for everything but Palestine, the only difference here between Biden and fucking Trump is that Donald Trump would have also been like, Palestinians are dogs and they deserve to be wiped out. That's it. The actions of the American government under Trump and Biden would have been nearly fucking identical. I can't speak for moving the embassy to Jerusalem, but it doesn't seem like Biden wants to take the embassy out of Jerusalem, the American embassy, legitimizing Israel's occupation there.
Blanket statements like these. Blanket statements? What state doesn't have the right to defend itself? Blanket statements like these with little context or acknowledgement of what precipitated this cycle of violence dehumanize Palestinians and imply the U.S. will look the other way at human rights violations. It's wrong. So it's wrong for the Jewish state to defend itself. There's a point where being anti-Israel shifts over into being anti-Semitic.
What is that point for Ben? I thought it was literally the moment that you utter an anti-Zionist take, or the moment that you say anything that is like even remotely critical of Israel, you're an anti-Semite. Unless you are in support of Israel, then you can literally say anti-Semitic things and Ben will defend you like Ann Coulter. What's the line for Ben, I wonder? Because it sure seems like Ben thinks literally any fucking mention of Israel that is not like full-throated support is anti-Semitism.
Okay, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez tweeted out, by only stepping in to name Hamas's actions, which are condemnable.
Okay, but like she literally is condemning Hamas. What the fuck? So what's Ben's problem? Again, this is incredible. He's literally saying that, like, even if you condemn Hamas, which literally everyone does, come the fuck on, obviously. Even if you condemn Hamas and then say, Israel, you should stop committing human rights abuses, it's like not enough. It's not enough. You literally have to say, no, what Israel's doing is poggers, okay? I'm Ben Shapiro. And hypothetically, what if ethnic cleansing, when done by Israelis, was actually very cool and very defendable? Like that's what the Ben Shapiro take is, okay? It's obvious that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez here hypothetically is defending Hamas by saying Hamas's actions are condemnable.
Biden reinforces the false idea that Palestinians instigated this cycle of violence. Of course they instigated this cycle of violence. Are you insane? Who's firing the rockets?
I love when ardent defenders of Zionism and the IDF's actions and Israel always act like yesterday did not happen. There was that one like interesting fucking meme where it's like there will be like 11 fucking headlines leading up to the moment where like Hamas fires rockets, right? And they just go, nothing happened before that moment. The people were just like, oh yeah, we fucking love, dude, we're just gonna fucking do this, dude. Fuck yeah. There are absolutely fucking anti-Semitic freaks in Hamas, obviously. As far as them operating or basically locking the Palestinians in Gaza as the only administrative body, as far as they are like representatives of that administrative body, they made demands, and their demands were stop beating the shit out of fucking people going to Al-Aqsa. Not only that, but also on top of that, there was a call for a ceasefire from the Hamas side, once again, where UN and the UAE and other fucking surrounding surrounding region leaders wanted to go to Hamas and ask for a ceasefire. And they said, and I'm not like defending Hamas or anything, I'm reporting to you what the fucking news is. And they said, Israel needs to declare a ceasefire. They are the ones who are firing back. And Benjamin Netanyahu and other IDF leaders straight up said, no, we're not going to stop. When the UN Security Council wanted to at least start the peace talks and the ceasefire talks, the United States, in an effort to let Israel continue its bombing campaign, said, no, we are going to block this from happening. So there are certain parts that want to end the bombing campaign. There is one group that does not want to end the bombing campaign, and that group is fucking Israel, is the Israeli government, because they don't want to end it. They want to wipe out as many Palestinians as they can. Or they want to fucking show the Palestinians, like, if any motherfucker stands up and tries to fucking fight back in any way, shape, or form, we will bomb the fuck out of you. And that is precisely what is going on.
I will attribute ignorance to her. I will attribute malice to Rashida Tlaib. So Rashida Tlaib is just a malicious.
Ooh, I wonder why Rashida Tlaib is malicious. I wonder if her being Palestinian has anything to do with like why she's like on top of everything else. Like AOC's kind of stupid, right? But Rashida Tlaib, she's malicious. I wonder why Rashida Tlaib is additionally malicious.
So here's Rashida Tlaib at a rally yesterday promoting the leftist idea that the subjugated of the world are all in solidarity with one another, and that the true story of humanity is white people all over. And she counts Jews with whites. White people all.
Okay, there are plenty of Israelis that are fucking not white. Okay, some Israelis don't even like those not white people, as a matter of fact, depending on how not white they are, i.e. Ethiopian Jews and African Jews in general. Look no further than the wonderful IDF program that even Tucker Carlson thought was incredible, where the IDF was going to train civilians to find and out and forcibly remove Ethiopian Jews that are not supposed to be within the borders of Israel. Tucker Carlson thought that was fucking sick, and then America should do it as well. Anyway, but like, yeah, no, there are white Jews, and then there are non-white Jews. It's not a monolith, obviously, because Jews come from all around the world, from different backgrounds and all of that.
So here's Rashida Tlaib suggesting what the Israelis are, quote unquote, doing to the Palestinians is what the police do to black and brown people. I assume that's what she means by they, because if she doesn't mean the police by they, if she doesn't mean two separate terms by they, as you will see, then she's just talking about the Jews. And that's just pure anti-Semitism. So here's Rashida Tlaib suggesting somehow a connection between police treatment of black and brown people in the United States, which again, she lies about. So there are a few things that are wrong with this. One, the police in the United States are not systemically racist. Put that aside. Number two, the Israelis are not white.
Okay. Oh, this is what I was going to say. When Rashida Tlaib talks about like white people, or when I say like this is Israel having its like Western white colonizer moment, I don't mean they're literally fucking white. I mean they're acting like white people. Okay? They're acting like how white people have historically acted. And when I say how white people have historically acted, I mean Western colonial expansion. And that is literally what's going on. It's kind of funny that Ben is doing the whole like, actually, Sweaty, these fucking oppressors, these colonizers in this circumstance, well, some of them are not white, so it's kind of fucked up. I thought being white was all right, Ben. Why are you now all of a sudden trying to fucking use the POC shield?
Notion that the Israelis are white ignores the fact that like half of Israelis, more than half of Israelis, by percentage, are from Arabic countries. Okay, the Jews who have been killed in Israel, there's some from Yemen, there's some from Morocco.
Dude, this is funny as fuck. He's literally trying to do identity politics. The intersectionality of the Jews being killed in Israel. How dare you? How dare you say they're behaving like white colonizers? If like the Israeli supremacist attitudes are not similar to white colonizers, then why are they fucking over Ethiopian Jews and shit? Or why did the fucking crowd, like literally 2 days ago, why did the Jewish crowd, the Israeli crowd, look for a Palestinian, an Arab Israeli, I guess, which is still a colonized language, but like a Palestinian living in Israel, and then ended up beating the shit out of just, again, a Jewish Israeli who was just browner. It's like whenever motherfuckers say like, Islamophobia is not racist, Sweaty. Yeah, but it's fucking racialized, dude. Just like the ethno-state project in Israel also has a racialized component as well.
So I want you to know this. If you are marching for freedom of Palestine, please know that you must be marching for everybody's freedom. It is all interconnected.
It's all interconnected, you see.
I mean, it is. Like, it literally is. Because the oppression of marginalized communities, which historically has featured Jews as well, by the way, and still does in certain respects, just not in fucking Israel, is usually very similar. Just like colonization is oftentimes very fucking similar. Let's see. Ben said, by the way, it is. I want to hear what he has to say.
To the left, you wonder about the red, what people have termed the Red-Green Alliance, meaning the sort of communist, red Islamist alliance. The answer is there.
What? Wait, is he trying to say the Red-Brown Alliance? Like, or is he gonna, wait, what the fuck is he talking about?
Aimed at tearing down American institutions, tearing down Western institutions. Israel is seen as an extension of that.
Yeah, the Communist Islamist Alliance, dude. Muslim is green. Yeah, Muslim Communist Alliance. Yeah, when you have no fucking argument, you just make one up. You just craft one up that's like fucking idiotic. And because your audience are a bunch of goddamn hogs that eat the slop that you feed them hook, line, and sinker, they'll just be like, yeah, he's right. I wonder why an American congresswoman of Palestinian descent would be for ending the oppression and the occupation of like literally people like her grandmother. Okay, I wonder why she would have a take like that. Oh, it must be because they want to end American civilization. That's what it is.
I mean, this is the basic notion that Rashida Tlaib is connecting the institutions of the United States with what's going on in Israel. In order to conflate all of that, you have to acknowledge that what she's really attempting to do is condemn all of the systems of the West because there is some supposed underclass that is being repressed by these systems.
I mean, but like we're not even talking about it from the capitalist point of view of like workers being the permanent underclass, like, or the inherent contradictions within the class interests under capitalism and how they clash with one another. We can watch the footage, Ben. Like, the footage exists. Like, you can see IDF soldiers rolling into Al-Aqsa Mosque and fucking over people who are praying inside the mosque in the middle of Ramadan. Like, we can see it with our fucking eyes. And a lot of people, unfortunately for Ben Shabibo, are actually paying attention for the first time in the West. That's what's really triggering for people like Ben, who have enjoyed the support, or rather the lack of care from Western media watchers in regards to the Israel-Palestine situation. Like, he's gotten away with some of the more psychotic, bloodthirsty things that he has been able to say, including, but not limited to, what was it? Israelis like to build, Arabs like to live in sewage and bomb things. If I recall, that was a famous Ben Shabibo quote. Like, or when he wrote about literally doing a final solution on all the Arabs, all the Palestinians living in Palestine in an effort to make sure that that Israel ethno-state could exist. He wrote this back in 2003 in Town Hall. You know, all of this stuff, he enjoyed being able to spread fascist propaganda about Israel because people didn't turn around and go, what the fuck are you talking about? This is kind of unacceptable. Because being on the side of the Palestinian struggle, or even admitting that Palestinians are humans, anything beyond saying like every Palestinian is a fucking terrorist that deserves to die, was met with so much aggression by the American media. This tweet from Ben Shapiro has been withheld in Germany, France, based on local laws. Israelis like to build, Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage. This is not a difficult issue. Hashtag settlements rock. Absolutely incredible censorship. I cannot believe that these communist nations like France and Germany would dare stop me from being able to say true things that are psychopathic.
In the United States, they make excuses for Hamas firing rockets indiscriminately into civilian areas. Now, again, this is all anti-factual. Sumya Santosh is a 32-year-old Indian woman who, in order to care for her 9-year-old boy, found work in Ashkelon caring for an 80-year-old woman. And she was blown up by Hamas, like yesterday.
If Ben tried to do an accounting of all the people that died in Israeli rocket fire, this video would be literally 40 minutes long, for the record. 2 women died in Israel yesterday. They died when they fell, and this is not even a joke. Like, and by the way, it's still fucking horrible, obviously. But 2 women died in Israel yesterday as they fell when they were escaping to a bomb shelter. And that is because of the Iron Dome. And I don't even have a problem with the Iron Dome. I've talked about how fucking wonderful it is and how wild it is. But
Yehuda Guetta from Libya was shot and killed earlier this week by a Palestinian American named Muntasser Shalabi, who's motivated, according to his neighbors, by equal parts Jew hatred and heavy gambling deaths.
Wait, what? What the fuck's he talking about? Is he like bringing up... Dude, I mean, Israelis fucking died in the past couple of days. Like, you don't have to go and like, what? You don't have to go and find like other instances where like a Palestinian person like murdered an Israeli person or something. Like, you don't have to bring up like random acts of fucking violence. There's already like Hamas rockets that fucking killed, Israeli people. It's so weird that he's just like...
Hey, and this is, by the way, why you are seeing Jews getting beat up in different places in the United States. Yesterday in Florida, there was a truck that was driving around to Jewish rallies that saying Hitler was right.
What the fuck? Dog, are you fucking insane? I wonder in Florida, the guy who was saying Hitler was right, I wonder what his political motivations were. He was probably a Ben Shapiro watcher, you fucking jackass. Now that's one. Those are your people, you fucking piece of shit. 2, like imagine fucking creating a ground for so many white supremacists to pop up on YouTube in your fucking alt-right pipeline and then getting upset when they come out against you because you're Jewish. So that's 1. And 2, the literal Trump supporters. The left murders Nazis. The left doesn't create Nazis, you fucking idiot. What I am confused by is like, he's like trying to claim that this is creating like, anti-Semitism among Nazis in America, in Florida? Like, what the fuck kind of take is this, dude? Yeah, fuck those Nazis. Except when I call motherfuckers like that Nazis, Ben is literally the first person on the line to be like, hold on now, hypothetically, what if this person wasn't anti-Semitic and only demonstrated their white supremacist attitudes towards Muslims and blacks, which I agree with, in which case they probably should not be robbed of their youth and robbed of their future. Hypothetically speaking, we should protect the freedom of speech of these people, unless they are anti-Semitic, in which case, hypothetically speaking, then fuck them. Ladies and gentlemen, hypothetically, what you are seeing here are a bunch of Palestinians saying Jews will not replace us. Hypothetically, none of these people are actually Ben Shabibo fans, but instead they are all technically Palestinians. Look, here's another photo of a bunch of Palestinians. Look at all these Palestinians here. Yeah, like literal neo-Nazis, dude. Hitler was right. Neo-Nazis arrive at pro-Israel rally in van covered with hate speech. These guys wearing SS t-shirts, I mean, they're Palestinians. They have a Palestinian flag, hypothetically, so they must be Palestinians. I mean, look at them. They seem to be really big advocates of Palestine. Like, how can you look at this story and be like, I can't believe that the Palestinians would do this? Master race. Why is everybody who says master race looks like they Heil Hitler, dude? Literally, everyone who's master race is just fucking, sorry to say this, people are gonna get mad because I'm like ugly shaming or whatever, or body shaming, but like, god damn, dude, just fucking hit the gym first, you know what I mean? Not to sound too much like Jordan Peterson, but honestly, just find your fucking chin, dog, okay? Maybe then you can at least act like, you know, there's like some fucking supreme behavior going on there. Motherfuckers look like they hate Hitler.
Not everybody who doesn't like Israel is an anti-Semite, but every anti-Semite is anti-Israel.
My favorite part was, just as I got up to pee, Ben Shapiro said, not all anti-Zionists are anti-Semites, but all anti-Semites are anti-Zionist. And that is the funniest lie that Ben has ever told, okay? Literally, Viktor Orban is right there, okay? Fucking Bibi Netanyahu himself could be considered anti-Semitic. There are plenty of anti-Semites that love Israel, okay? There are a lot of anti-Semites that fucking love Israel. I mean, Ben has literally defended anti-Semites and their anti-Semitism because they're pro-Israel. Anti-Semites love Israel. It's like Israel fucking is killing Muslims, which anti-Semites obviously fucking also hate Muslims a lot of times. And also it's a place for all the Jews to go to. Like, so, no, it's like a double whammy for a fuckload of anti-Semites, dude. I mean, Richard Spencer is a fucking Nazi who's like pro-Jewish state.
Israel has one of the most powerful militaries in the world. If you are in a fight where the other person cannot beat you, how hard should you retaliate when they try to hurt you?
As hard as you need to make them stop hurting you. Also, by hurt you, I think that he is making a pretty significant category error here. There's a difference between a child trying to physically harm me and a terrorist group firing rockets at people and murdering them. The answer is...
Yeah, the answer is Israel is doing exactly that, but in a way that is so disproportionate and so unacceptable. Exactly. I'm glad that Ben, in the end, comes around to accepting that Israel's brutality needs to end. Sorry, I didn't realize Ben was just advocating for self-defensive genocide.
They fired over 1,000 rockets over the course of the last 36 hours toward the most populated areas of Israel. There are onlookers who are shouting their celebration. A little bit of history for you. Hamas is an openly genocidal group. This is not a conflict over land. This is not a conflict over borders. This is not a conflict over a right to return.
There is different layers of like Israel defense, right? So you have at the tippy top, you have like, you know, yeah, Israel's actions are kind of condemnable, but like they have a right to exist, so they have to do a little bit of genocide. Like, fucking chill out, okay? Then a layer beneath it is like, well, fucking Hamas asked for it. That's why we got to do it. Also, fuck Palestinians, kind of. And then there is the people that are like, well, this is just evictions. This is just like a land grab, or this is just a crisis over evicting Palestinians because, you know, Israel is the real landlord there. And then the real mega big brain take here is that actually this conflict has nothing to do with borders or land. Then what the fuck is it, dude? Like, what is going on there then? It's fucking great. Ben is like, actually, it's just a murderous anti-Jewish ideology. And that's where this conflict is coming from. Or just like, actually, the conflict is just purely motivated by anti-Semitism. The reason why Palestinians were even there to begin with, anti-Semitism. They knew that there would be a Jewish state planted there by colonial powers. And because of that, they actually lived there for hundreds of years on purpose, getting ready to do anti-Semitism in the future. Actually, hypothetically, Jews, Christians, and Palestinian Muslims coexisted in that region for years under other occupying forces or under imperial powers as a consequence of anti-Semitism that they were going to do in the future. The real anti-Semitism is when they predict the future and behave accordingly.
And this has been their long-stated goal. And they were about to win an election, by the way, in the West Bank, which is the reason for all of this. The Mahmoud Abbas.
What? If someone did a supercut of Ben Shapiro reporting on Israel-Palestine, but just flipped Israel to Palestine and just flipped like, Mahmoud Abbas or Hamas to IDF and also Netanyahu, it would literally be the most woke and accurate fucking take on Israel I have ever seen. It is insane that like his argument is literally the opposite of what is going on, where it's like pure projection, and he just straight up.
Mahmoud Abbas, treated as a legit world leader by much of the world community, but is not. Mahmoud Abbas, the head of the Palestinian Authority, which is a terrorist organization, but a slightly less terrorist
Abbas is also a terrorist organization, and so there is no Palestinian leadership or Palestine or Palestinians that are not terrorists. Then I just didn't understand. Oh, he's just slightly less terrorist. Got it. I guess if you want to support ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, you got to make it seem like literally every Palestinian is a terrorist, right?
And it appeared he was going to lose, so he canceled the elections in late April and blamed the Jews because this is what you do.
Mahmoud Abbas is criticized by Palestinians for literally using Israeli authorities to personally quash the opposition that he might get from the left, for the record. And not because, like, I guess the Jews are responsible for this election.
And he starts ramping up calls for violence. Hamas not to be outdone, because the way that you apparently garner support is to show that you hate the Jews even more than the guy next to you.
Okay, literally do the flip. Do the flip. Netanyahu's government, Netanyahu has tried to form a coalition government in the past 2 years, 4 times in a row. He has failed to do so. And apparently, the only way to garner support from the rest of Israel is by making sure that Palestinians are brought to heel. Like, literally just describing the fucking, the intricate details of like Netanyahu's circumstance, but as though it is like a boss. It's fucking crazy, dude.
This all culminates in violence on the Temple Mount, spurred by Hamas, spurred by Fatah.
They were protesting the Israeli occupying forces not allowing Muslims to come in and do prayer at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and how they were protesting peacefully, but also the presence of Muslims in Al-Aqsa is always threatening. So, of course, there can never be any peaceful protest. But they were Hamas. They were Hamas.
People using the Al-Aqsa Mosque, a holy site to Muslims, as an actual staging base to perform acts of terrorism.
Dude, shut the fuck up, dude. Oh, my God, dude. Oh, my God. But also, but Fatah is also Hamas, yes. Like, because they're all Palestinian, dude. He's just fucking racist, dog. What do you want? Of course he's going to say Fatah is the same as Hamas. There's no power struggle there. They're all Palestinian. And obviously, Palestinians have a skull density that is different than, of course, the Jewish person, which, of course, implies that they are inferior genetically, of course, which is why all of them want to do terrorism and kill all Jewish people. You have accessible information in front of you. You can do your due diligence and be like, what is the motivating principle here? What are the motivating reasons for this? Or you could just be like Ben Shabibo and turn around and be like, Hamas is in the wrong. And I mean, obviously they are for fucking firing rockets regardless. But like, they are unprovoked. All of this happened. Israel did nothing wrong. They've never done anything wrong. And it's all the fault of Palestinians, which are all Hamas. And those Muslims that were praying, Ramadan actually is a fake holiday. It's not an Islamic holiday. It's made up. Hypothetically, Ramadan actually was a made up holiday by the Muslims to go into Al-Aqsa, into the mosque, which is not supposed to be a mosque, and scare Jews into submission with their superpower praying powers. One other thing I want to mention about the IDF, by the way. The IDF, before fucking going into Al-Aqsa Mosque, had stopped Jewish people from going into the surrounding region. Now, you might be thinking, well, they did that because they wanted to stop conflict. No, motherfucker. They literally stopped Jewish people from going into the surrounding regions of Al-Aqsa to participate in their own holiday because they were going to go beat the shit out of everyone else that's there, and they don't want to accidentally fucking gas their own people. Okay?
And what this has resulted in is most of Israel is now under the umbrella of terror. From the north, Israel is under the umbrella of Hezbollah, which is an Iranian-backed terror group in Lebanon. They have apparently 150,000 rockets. If you think it's bad right now with Hamas firing hundreds of rockets a day, wait until it's Hezbollah firing thousands of rockets a day. And then from the south, they are under assault from Hamas, a terrorist group located in the Gaza Strip.
Israel has nukes. 2, Israel has an Iron Dome. 3, Israel has way more firepower than Hamas does, okay? And lastly, it all still comes down to like Ben is acting like what Hamas did is so repugnant that they destroyed greenhouses and built rocket bases. Motherfucker, that is repugnant. Except Israel literally prevents the Gaza Strip from getting clean water and destroys wells and literally limits the quantity of water that Palestinians can get. What the fuck are you saying? You're like upset that greenhouses were destroyed? Like virtually every single criticism that you have of Hamas, you can 100-fold launch back at Israel for what they have done to the Palestinian people. And that's the worst part, because the Palestinian people are trapped. Palestinian people also are not all Muslim, for the record. A lot of you probably don't even know this. If you only watch Ben Shapiro, you definitely don't know this. Palestinian people are trapped, okay? They have on the one side, the only like militant resistance group that they have to Israel's occupation is fucking Hamas. All of the other militant liberation groups have been completely stopped and completely ended. And also on the West Bank side, you have the Palestinian Authority, which is also toothless and doesn't do a good enough job at protecting its own citizens. They have nowhere else to go. They have no fucking elections or anything like that to like demonstrate their anger or anything like that. And then worst of all, they can't even begin the democratic process because they're under occupation by the Israeli state. So they're trapped in from every fucking part. So if you're a liberal and you're progressive, but you still are like, unconditionally in support of Israel's actions, just remember how fucking stuck you felt that Donald Trump was your fucking president, okay? Then add on an endless occupation by like, I don't know, the fucking Chinese government or some shit, and that you don't have water. Like you have no access to fucking clean water, and your electricity is rationed by the Chinese government. And also on top of that, they're literally nonstop bombing your neighborhoods. Your cousins died. Your school got blown up, and the Chinese government's going on the news and saying like, well, actually, the American terrorists are using you and your family members as a meat shield, as a human shield, and there's nothing we can do, but we have to keep bombing you.
So Abbas is basically having the Israelis do his dirty work by killing off all of Hamas's leadership. So this is one of the things that's happening as well.
Wait, I'm confused. He's saying that Abbas is like coordinating with Israel to like bomb Gaza? What? If I said half this shit by like the sides that are like so fucking untrue, if I said this, you would call me rightfully an anti-Semite. If I said like the Israeli authorities are collaborating with the Palestinian Authority to like bomb Gaza in an effort to like offer more power to Abbas, like you would literally be like, that's fucking insane.
The distance from Gaza to Jerusalem, which is sort of in the center of the country, is only 47 miles. From Gaza to Ashdod, it's 24 miles. Okay, what does this mean? It means that when you fire rockets, people have pretty much no warning. Okay, here is a map of the warning times when a rocket is fired.
That's literally a lie, dude. Hamas straight up said 6 p.m. Like, you have until 6 p.m. Not that, like, you negotiate with terrorists or whatever, but, like, their fucking demand is not unreasonable. Their demand was literally, like, let Palestinians fucking pray at Al-Aqsa and don't evict the fucking Palestinians. This motherfucker's talking about shelters. By the way, this is crazy. I didn't know this is what shelters look like.
You open the door, come inside, and then there's another door, this really big heavy door, so we're gonna close that. Then we come over to the window.
This is crazy. This can't be the real
Open
shelter.
the window, grab this big thing of steel, and close it all over the window. Then we can
Like, this is like probably a fucking ridiculous shelter. Someone said it's called a mamad or something. It's like inside of an apartment, I guess. These guys have bomb shelters, whereas the people of Gaza have nothing. They don't have fucking bomb shelters. And their only warning, if they're lucky, is like a fucking explosive mortar that blows up on top of their apartments right before their apartment is fucking leveled. I can't fathom how you can fucking make a both sides argument on this in any capacity. That's straight wrong. Israel does give crappy warnings with roof knocks where they send dud bombs. I just said that. They explode a fucking mortar on top of the building before they bomb it. That is not a fucking way to, like, that's psychotic. It's not a justification for bombing people. There is no ethically destroying someone's house, dude. How are you gonna fucking talk about all this without a single fucking mention? Like, that's crazy, dude. I'm sorry. I completely understand that it is not a good situation for the Israelis to be in, okay? For the citizens of Israel to be in, to be afraid that there might be fucking rockets that are flying overhead. But it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like because you might get slapped in the face, you turn around and like murder every fucking brown person in the vicinity. Like, it's nuts. And you're still talking about the striking of the face, and you cover it for 20 minutes when like the retaliation is literally just like locking people into a fucking area and then relentlessly doing bombing campaigns in that area.
Right, the entire map from Ashdod in the south all the way up to Hadera in the north is completely red. Okay, the reason is because they were firing hundreds of rockets. They fired over 1,000 rockets over the course of the last 36 hours from the Gaza Strip into Israel. They don't care who they hit.
I love this take. It's like Hamas doesn't care who they hit. Israel, on the other hand, cares who they hit, implying that they knowingly hit areas where there's fucking children. Like, I love that, dude. Hamas doesn't care where they hit. Well, one, because they have severe limitations. They're like literally fucking tossing bathtub rockets into the sky with the hopes that it fucking lands in Israel. Whereas Israel knows where they hit and are deliberately hitting it, regardless of the children inside of it. And also, there is nowhere for those children to go to. It doesn't even fucking matter because they're locked in Gaza.
What comes next? Who the hell knows? But Israel has a moral obligation to go in and kill every Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad leader they can find. And in fact, this is what Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, is saying. It's not just Netanyahu. It's not just about Netanyahu.
For the record, they kind of did this. If you recall, the IDF stated that they were going to do a ground invasion yesterday. The IDF spokesperson said this, and like they literally gave out reports to the Associated Press, and even I covered it, and I said like, oh no, I think the ground invasion is starting. And turns out the IDF did that as a fucking debate, dude, to lure militants. They're saying, I guess. Yeah, at midnight, the IDF spokesperson's English department tweeted that IDF air and ground troops currently attacking the Gaza Strip. Turns out there wasn't a ground offensive that was going to launch. They just wanted the Hamas militants to gear up for a ground offensive. I love this. Like, dude, by the way, this is hilarious. Like, the way that they're talking about it is like, foreign media jumped at the tweet, interpreting it to mean that Israel was sending ground forces into Gaza. Dog, what do you mean jumped at the tweet? You literally fucking said it. Like, the job of the fucking media is to cover what's going on. Due to the deployment along the border and the news coming out in the foreign media of a ground incursion, Hamas and Islamic Jihad sent their first line of defense into the tunnels to start taking up positions. They were the anti-tank missile teams and mortar squad meant to strike at incoming Israeli ground forces. This is where the lines of like Hamas literally engaging in self-defense and Hamas doing offensive terrorism become one and the other. Like, why are we looking at this as though these dudes don't have a fucking right to straight up stop Israeli tanks from coming into the Gaza Strip? Like, if anything, this legitimizes Hamas's position as a defensive fucking military force. You can say stop defending Hamas all you want, but like, how the fuck can you, how do you justify this? At that point, it makes Hamas the Gazan military. Once again, Israel unironically ends up like legitimizing Hamas's position as like the only fucking savior that Palestinians can rely on.
So Defense Minister Benny Gantz said that the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, will continue.
By the way, Benny Gantz is supposedly the more tolerant, more liberal guy running against Netanyahu. Just remember that. This is what he had to say.
Striking Gaza until it can bring a complete and long-term peace.
We're gonna strike Gaza until they can commit to a long-term peace. We're going to keep beating you brutally and senselessly until, you know, you commit to a long-term peace. You guys asked me, like, what should Israel do? The immediate thing that Israel should have done in order to minimize damage, both to Israeli citizens, which is like literally marginal in comparison to the vast amount of child murder that has occurred in Gaza, was to say, we are pulling our troops from the Al-Aqsa Mosque. We are not going to beat the shit out of Muslims who are just there to do prayer. And we are going to pull out and we are going to put a moratorium on the evictions process on the Palestinians living in Sheikh Jarrah. That's all they needed to do. That is the ethical, utilitarian way of dealing with this process. But instead they were like, yeah, fuck no, that's not happening. And then Hamas fired rockets, and then they fired a fuckload more rockets. If you ask who struck first, I'm describing it to you. So Hamas struck first, Do you or do you not consider using your fucking military police force, beating the shit out of fucking people who are literally either A, peacefully protesting the evictions of other Palestinians from their homes, Muslims that are praying on their fucking holy day in the month of Ramadan? Do you not consider that a strike? What are Palestinians supposed to do, bro? They just supposed to get fucking beaten up and gassed in their own goddamn mosques? Like, and thousands of rockets were the answer? No, that's not the fucking answer. I'm not saying that's the answer, you fucking idiot. Teflon made fucking rockets from Hamas being retaliated on when you have a defense system such as the Iron Dome, but being retaliated on with like fucking brutal, endless bombing campaigns that kill civilians that you've locked into their fucking homes. It's justifiable to fucking gas the shit out of and even murder people that are throwing stones, peacefully throwing stones. What are you supposed to do? If you're going to your mosque to fucking pray and a brutal military occupation that prevents you from doing so is fucking you over, what are you supposed to do? Roll and take it? Come fuck me, sir. Please, come murder me and my family. Evict me from my fucking home. It's so stupid. You literally think a slap is supposed to be met by the execution of all of your fucking family members, dude, and all the people that you've ever known. How holy shit you are one-sided. No, you're a fucking brain-dead delusional ape. That's the problem. With zero fucking sympathy. Actually, I can't even say ape. Apes would demonstrate a little bit more fucking sympathy towards other apes. You, on the other hand, cannot, because you don't see Palestinians as human beings. If you think a fucking rock, when cops are literally coming in and stopping you from entering your own fucking hall of prayer, okay? If you think throwing a rock at a fucking cop that has literally all of the military equipment that you can imagine with Uzis and shit justifies literally using an Uzi, then what do you think using an Uzi justifies? But that's so dumb. You can't literally just be like, it's actually justifiable to fucking gas people in their mosque because there were people outside who were defending themselves and like fucking throwing rocks at cops. They didn't use gunfire and the Palestinians were in the mosque before the police came in. What the fuck? You fucking cocksucker. What do you mean they were in the mosque? So you just, as the cops, you're supposed to go into wherever the fucking Palestinians are and kick them out? You stupid fuck. What is this? I'm done. I can't have this conversation anymore. We're moving on from this.